Good Wednesday afternoon, everybody. I'm a little late, but got a lot of information for you today. Right before we came on, seems the Diddy list came out. We will be going over that this afternoon. But what we will be going over right away is Chris Skinner's sister, Tamara, had put out an audio video, and it's a computerized voice, of some things she felt she needed to clarify of things that are being reported on the internet. I'm so glad she did. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my trusty headphones on. We're going to go through the recording together. And I'm probably going to stop here and there to go over, each subject she brings up, because I think that it's important. So let me get that for you. Now, I'm sure if any of you have seen it, that's great. I'm glad you have. Still, we should go over it for the ones who have it. All right. And so here we go. I'm going to start and stop. So let me just fix my mic here and okay, here we go.
To start, the witness statements discussed in the Fitz News interview represent only a few of the many that exist. There is much more evidence that has not been released. Here are some of the key questions seen on social media and the responses to such. In the police report, the neighbor who let Chris into the pool area said Chris told him he was meeting someone there to play chess. Our family had never heard Chris say he played chess. The timestamp of when he went into the pool, around 7:56 a.m., which means he would have entered the pool area beforehand, which are during the early morning hours. That raises the question, who meets someone at 7 a.m. to play chess? Not sure anyone.
So that's a good point, and I want to bring that up. If the family is saying they've never heard him mention playing chess, and we know who mentions playing chess, okay? We've heard that through the Mica Miller story. And so who was it that brought up this chess comment? Now, allegedly, it's the neighbor. Okay. But we don't really know. Who is this neighbor? Well, let's find out what else she says.
Today, no one has come forward saying they were supposed to meet him. There were alleged reports that Chris's spouse told people he fell asleep in his chair and accidentally hit the joystick, causing movement. There were many conflicting stories told. On the day of Chris' passing, an elder from the church remained with us all day, which our family found odd. Allegedly, he was instructed to stay with Chris's spouse by the pastor. The wheelchair was released to that elder and returned to Chris's spouse.
Okay, so who is this elder that was with, obviously, Susie all day and with the family? They found this odd. And the wheelchair being immediately released. I know, Gigi, this is something that we keep bringing up over and over again. He's got limited movement. How could he have been playing chess? I really don't know. Not that I'm saying somebody like him couldn't. There's a lot of devices that you could use where there's it's voice, activated. But again, his family was very close. In the interview, you hear her say, and it probably will be said here, the mother was feeding him, bathing him, caring for him, because Susie gave up doing any of that. So why not mention that you're going to go to the pool and play chess? Anyhow.
That elder later left the church after Chris passed. I initially stated that the wheelchair couldn't be remote controlled. However, after the coroner made a public statement about the investigation, a witness came forward and shared a conversation about the chair possibly having remote control capabilities. After further research, we confirmed that Chris's chair could be remote controlled. This changed my earlier statement of thinking it could not be remote controlled. Some have asked why I addressed the defamation article in my interview. It wasn't because I felt the need to defend myself. I addressed it to show how ridiculous the claims were, to expose the bullying, threats, and retaliation tactics, and to highlight the pattern of behavior of the person targeting anyone who tells the truth. It also speaks volumes about the heart and intentions of the person behind it. Mica allegedly endured similar actions, and allegedly more. Regarding the defamation attorney, if the retaliation and cyberbullying continue, legal consequences will follow. This includes both the individual who made the defamatory comments and the so-called news source that published them, as news platforms are responsible for avoiding libel and defamatory content. Also, the fake pages will be included. Note, my attorney sent a cease and desist to the so-called news source with a demand which he has not complied with. Chris went to church the day before he passed. This was the first time in months that he had attended. He openly told others he did not like the church or pastor any longer. People have asked about the sermon that day, and I agree. It's a smart and important question, one that should be explored.
Okay, so let's go to that 1 second, because I know it was one of you guys who mentioned it. I would love to be able to find that. That would be September 5th, 2021. And so someone has to have it. Somewhere, somebody's got to have the September 5th, 2021 Solid Rock sermon. So if anybody out there hears me and you have it, please share or air it, either way. Leslie has all the sermons. Okay, I will ask Leslie. Thank you for that.
Someone claimed that Chris's spouse was his only caregiver. In reality, she was his primary caregiver. However, Chris's family also helped during the daytime while she was at work and during other times that help was needed. Chris called Tamara to come to the hospital to be with him and his spouse during a hospitalization where he almost died. Chris leaned on his family for support. Due to his limited arm movement and lack of hand function, Chris required assistance with nearly everything such as eating, bathing, medication assistance, being transferred into his chair, and more. I have seen questions like, why did the family wait so long to speak out? The answer is because we were lied to for 3 years. Even after Mica passed and news reports began circulating, we were still given false information when we asked questions. Due to this, we started seeking answers on our own, which led us to where we are today. There's no right or wrong timeline when it comes to seeking justice. Old cases are reopened all the time. New evidence brings new actions. The people criticizing our timing are simply defending those we've questioned. It's a weak argument. Families have the civil right to ask for a case to be re-examined, especially when something doesn't sit right. Now, a few responses to some of the fake accounts and profiles in their comments. One person said, "There were no issues before. Chris' sister had no questions back then." Really? Do you know me? People who don't even know me are making assumptions and spreading more untruths. The truth is, I did have suspicions, so stop speaking for me, twisting my words, and spreading lies. I had a private conversation with Chris's spouse the day after Chris passed, where I asked some hard questions that led her to storm out into the backyard. Her parents even noticed and inquired. I didn't share anything with them, but I did tell my parents the details of that conversation. I've never shared that conversation publicly, but she knows what I'm talking about. The individuals spewing hate say, "If I were his sister, I would never do this or that." My response, "I don't care what you would do. Your opinions are baseless. This is our real life and my family member, not yours. Stop being a hater and get over it. My advocacy for Chris will continue." The hateful people said I didn't know my brother was sad. Of course I did. Chris and I talked on the phone all the time, and I went over there a lot. He confided in me, and I knew his struggles. I encouraged and supported him. I haven't told 95% of what he told me, because it would hurt feelings. Our family helped regularly. My mom was the most helpful. During the last few weeks of his life, I was in the middle of college finals and preparing for a major national exam, which Chris was very proud of and supportive about. That's why we planned a cookout to celebrate after finals. My mom helped diligently during that time frame. Chris told my mom, dad, myself, and friends that he wasn't being showered. We offered to do it. He said he didn't want to upset his wife, so he asked if we could sponge bathe him instead. And my mom did that regularly. I helped him too. The fake accounts also claim our family never raised concerns about Chris's care or mental health. That's simply false. They continue spreading misinformed opinions and twisting narratives to fit their own agenda. When that stops working, they'll turn on someone else, maybe even the coroner or others who choose to do the right thing. Chris opened up to many people about how he was feeling and what he was going through. Chris was never shy to saying how he felt, whether it was good, bad, or ugly. He told the truth, and sometimes the truth was not pretty. Since the fake accounts continue to speculate about why our family is now advocating for Chris's case, I want to provide some clarity. A short while after Mica passed, Chris's spouse sent me a message saying I could talk about anything related to Chris, except for 4 specific topics: her, JP, social media, and his death. That immediately raised red flags and deepened my suspicion. Why would discussing Chris's death be forbidden? And the specific mention of JP added to the suspicion. It suggested their relationship may have been more significant than what had been disclosed. That message only fueled our suspicion. And that's when we began to dig deeper and ask our own questions. When we did, we received an overwhelming amount of information, which was shocking. What hurt the most was realizing that someone we knew and trusted had been lying to us, even when we asked direct questions. We were still lied to. To conclude, the intent behind that message was clear. They were trying to control both the narrative and me, but they cannot and will not silence me from speaking the truth about my brother. As Chris would say, Skinners are winners. Feel free to share your thoughts or questions in the comments. This video is intended to answer some of the...
Sorry, guys. Okay. So let's go over a few things. Obviously, the flying monkeys are back at it again. So the king of the flying monkeys has released them. I think this time they're going to meet their match. And rightfully so. It's about friggin' time. So let's go over a couple things in there. Now, I had only said this because of the way the family seemed in their responses before even seeing an interview. I had said that it seemed that the Skinner family, meaning Chris, his parents, and his sister, were close. Obviously closer than I had expressed. So it wasn't that Susie was his only caregiver. It wasn't that Susie was the only one to bathe him, to feed him, to care for him. And he knew that. That's why he went to his own family when he needed that help. What does that mean? That means this man is not going to end his life just because Susie decided to stop caring for him. He wasn't going to leave his children just because Susie can't keep it in her pants. Okay? He was angry about it, and he might have been sad about it. Who wouldn't be sad? Listen, I've been cheated on, and any one of you that's ever been cheated on can understand. You're sad. You're mad. All these, emotions come out, especially when it's somebody that you know or thought was your friend or that you could trust. And I'm talking about the person that's with your spouse. Okay, granted, but you're not going to go off yourself, especially if you have children. And especially if you're a Christian, who has faith in Jesus Christ. And on top of that, the icing on the cake is Chris was a motivational speaker. Why could he not motivate himself if he could motivate other people? Now, I had said to a few people I wasn't going to mention this because I didn't want to give the power of suggestion. Now, I know a lot of you have already looked at, probably a few times, and I hope it's the BoobTube TV version of Chris being in the pool. Now, why is that important? Let me tell you what I had seen, okay? I didn't want to talk about it the other night when I really felt sick after seeing what I saw. I never noticed it before, but it took the sharpness and the zoom in, of course, of that video and really paying attention to his left hand that showed me why BoobTube TV had said in the chat that evening I had to walk away. So I'm going to say it. I thought about it, I prayed about it, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to say it. For those who may be having trouble seeing what it is that we see, and if you want me to play the video, I can. Just let me know in the chat. If you notice that Chris is wearing a long sleeve off-white shirt, okay? In that very sharp video, you can see his pants, you can see his shirt, you can see the chair, you can see the dog, you can see the plants, you can see the pool clearly. As the chair starts to move, you notice that the left arm and its sleeve are all of a sudden blurred. Why is that? Because frantically, Chris is trying to stop that chair. He's frantic at trying to stop that chair. Now, let me bring something else that came to my attention within this past 24 hours. Cask and Crime and Cask, wherever the hell he is, who came onto the scene just recently and seems to be the brand new flying monkey, had stated that just because Chris would have a surprised or distressed look on his face doesn't mean anything. Really? I don't know, you guys, when you go to the pool, do you walk around with a distressed face? Do you walk around with an expression on your face looking surprised? I mean, I don't. Maybe you guys do. I don't know. Is it a new facial exercise or something? These people really think that we were born under a rock. Honestly. As if we can't figure out that by looking at his face and seeing the movement of the chair and seeing him frantically trying to stop that chair and the wheels turning, why turn the wheels? Because somebody else is remote controlling it. And now the family is interested in looking into this. Now, something that was said by Tamra in a conversation, okay, and I'm going to read that to you, and I think you'll find this interesting. She had a conversation with one of the people that come here on the show, and they were talking back and forth. Let me find that for you guys. Forgive me. It was right in front of me. Okay, here we go. So she had said, somebody was asking her if she could find out if that chair was waterproof or not. Now, let's for clarification, the chair he was in the day at the pool was not the beach chair. It's the chair, and you guys may remember this, where you see a picture of Chris standing up in a doorway. He's standing up in the chair. It had the ability to stand up straight. And the reason for that was to minimize sores, you know. And so there's a few photos and pictures and whatnot, and I can share that with you if you want to see it. I'd have to go and get it, though, of him standing in this chair. So that chair that was at the pool had that ability. Now, going into the water, you'd think, well, why didn't he just use that, that the ability to stand up? Well, it probably, the mechanism wasn't working because it was in water, because only the beach chair is waterproof and able to go into the water, not the one that stood up. So that might be why. But anyhow, she did say, I'm trying to find out here. hold on, give me a second. She was told that allegedly the chair that he was in had a memory box and they would probably be able to retrieve data. Now the question is, now it's a probability, okay? I believe that, feds have forensic analysts who are just really technologically advanced, way beyond anything we could understand. That they may just, even a waterlogged chair. Remember, this chair was donated. It was not trashed. So what does that mean? The chair was working. If the chair was working, that means the electronics were working. If the electronics were working, then it's possible the data is still there and not destroyed. And no, you cannot override it. Nothing is ever deleted. If it has a memory box, nothing's ever deleted. Even when somebody attempts to delete, these forensic analysts that work for the FBI have the ability to retrieve that data. So never fool yourself with that belief, okay? So that's where we stand right now. As you can see, the family is, I'm glad, looking into it. If it didn't happen, let's rule it out. But if it did, I know the Fitz News said, well, I wouldn't want to tag on any more litigations. And I get that. But this deserves litigation. If, in fact, they're able to prove from the movement of his hand, the movement of the chair, and the look on his face, and the data from the chair, and of course the witness statement, and you put all of that together, and you put together also the very odd behaviors of both John Paul and Susie around the time that this happened, and the information now that the sister is giving, it's puzzle pieces. You put the puzzle together and it starts to come out clear that this needs to be investigated thoroughly. Obviously. Now, why wouldn't Susie want the family talking about Chris? You know why? Because when they saw, as they referred to us as super sleuths, coming onto the scene and ripping apart their lies, they knew we would find out about Chris. Now, P.S., I didn't hear about Chris through his family. I heard about Chris by other investigators, other people who were investigating this. So somebody came to me and said, hey, you may want to look into the Chris Skinner case. And I went, Chris Skinner? Who's that? Way back in July. That's why I did that show on July 3rd. Once again, let me remind everybody here, July 4th, the morning of July 4th is when John Paul Miller felt the need to look for my phone number and call me. Why? Their intentions are blaring. They're so cocky and so arrogant that they think they can just get away with anything because they have gotten away with so much in the past. So they just assume they could do that with us. And we're not their flying monkeys. We're not their flunkies. We're not their fans. We don't worship them. He doesn't have blackmail on me or any of us. So that's why he has no power over us. That's why we've moved forward past a year. You know what I mean? So if I know, Gigi, you're absolutely right. He thought he could, and he was very wrong. And it's funny? That day I did not feel well. So when I don't feel well, I'm less of a Christian. Let's put it that way, okay? I was kind to him on the phone, but today, if he were to call, I'd have to repent after that phone call. Just saying. Don't call John Paul if you're listening, because I'm not welcoming the call. That will be considered harassment, and I will seek charges. Anyhow, and everybody heard me. They witnessed it. Anyhow, I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if we want to go through seeing that again. But if you do, the boob tube, did I put the boob tube up there? I know it was played on the last show. I could put boob tube's video up on the channel if you guys just want to watch it and really investigate it and see it. It's totally up to you. Or we could just play it now. But that's what it is that I saw that night. the clarity of the video, because BoobTube TV enhanced it so well. Put the BoobTube TV. Okay. All right. So give me a second. Let me find it. It should be fairly easy. Should be easy because we looked for it the other night and it came right up. Let me get rid of this here. Whoops. Oh, no. Okay, just checking on you. I have this. I want to get rid of this guy here. So how do I do that? Go away. Okay. The boob tubes. I should have put it up for you guys the other day. I don't even know why I didn't do that. I'll ask them if I can. I don't think they'll have a problem with me putting up on the channel for you guys. All right, let me blow it up. So as I'm putting this up, remember what I said, try to look at the left arm. Okay. And this is right now we're looking at it further. I think that it actually comes up a little zoomed a little more. I'm not sure. But look at the left arm. Let me bring this back. And you see how clear everything is, right? You can see the pants, you can see the sneakers, you can see the wheel on chair, you can see the water. Everything is pretty sharp for this zoomed in picture. BoobTube is on YouTube. That's funny. You can actually clearly see his right arm. You can see the sleeve. On the left side, you could also see some of the sleeve. But at one point, as it gets closer to the water, it gets blurred. Why? It's getting blurred because he is frantically trying to stop that chair. Okay, so disclaimer, this might be difficult to watch. Now this is slow. BoobTube had slowed this down for us. Okay. I did see the different wheelchair. This is not it. This, if you notice, this has a blue wheel, bluish, and we were able to figure out that this is the other chair, the non-beach chair. Because I'll tell you what, Crystal, if in fact it was the beach chair, and let's just say the beach chair had the ability to stand up, he would have done that in the water and saved himself. Yeah, right by the water's edge, she's playing chess. So once again, let me try. Now, I didn't finish the video, so let me go to the beginning. The very beginning is slowed down. If you notice, they say 0.25 speed, okay? Watch the left arm. Now, you can see it's not blurred. You see his sleeve. You see the lever. Now to move forward, and now you're going to start to see a blur where the lever is. Okay, now that's the slowed down version. Now this should be the actual. Now you can see the sleeve. Now you see the movement and you see the blur. Everything else is sharp, but that part. God bless him. Do you see what I mean? Not remove it, but make it smaller or move it more to the left. I don't understand what that means. I have the same question, Vivian. Where is the video portion of him getting even to that spot? I absolutely agree. I think this is just like a memorial. Oh no, this was very enhanced, but I think it's very difficult to really see. So there you are. Yes, there is a pup there, and somebody had said they had seen. I haven't really paid attention to it. That he had put the dog down as the chair was moving, so he saves the dog from going into the water. The dog probably would have been able to swim, to be honest, but he was thinking of the dog. The movement of the sleeve blurring the way it is, it's no longer as sharp as the rest of the picture, shows that he was frantically moving that lever as best as he could with whatever strength, what little strength and ability he had in that arm. Okay. And probably, as his sister said, he didn't have much. So how much could he fight? It's not like you and me who can grab it and fight with it and try to stop it. But remember, even if it were you and me, okay, I don't know. Maybe he pushed the dog off. I don't know. Maybe he pushed him off his lap. You know, think about the grandma who picked up the car off of their grandchild. Sometimes when you're in the midst of something tragic like that, you do things you don't normally do, you know? But just like you and I, if we were messing with that lever, trying to stop that chair, if someone else is remotely controlling it, it doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter how good your hands and arms are. You can't stop that chair. Someone else is controlling it. Do you see what I mean? Maybe the dog hopped down. That's possible. That's possible. I mean, like I said, you know, dogs know how to swim. So even if, God forbid, that would have happened, the dog would have known how to swim. But again, let's go back to what the whole reason for playing the video was. That's what you see. The whole picture is sharpened, right? Except for that one part where as the chair starts to move, that's where you start to see this blur. And that's whatever he's trying to do, he is trying to stop that chair. Maybe he gave a command. That's very possible. That's very possible. But I really wouldn't concern. The dog was fine, obviously. And I think even the dog looked shocked, to be honest with you. Like, what the hell is going on? So I'm glad the family's looking into it. I pray that they find that chair. And I hope that they can find the data. But again, God didn't bring this to the forefront for it to just be, you know, dropped. I just don't believe that. I think God wants this to be exposed because that's what's in his word. So that the family doesn't believe he would do this. We don't believe he would do it. We don't see this in the video. There's no proving that this man was, let's put it this way. I've read about this chair. The lever is very, very, and I've said this before, so let me say it again, is so sensitive. You could take your finger and push it and it'd go forward. A finger. So if he wanted to go forward, number one, he didn't need to turn the wheels. Number two, you wouldn't have seen a blur. His arm would have stayed still and he would have just pushed it forward and went into the pool. The end. But that wasn't what he was doing. It looked like he was in a frantic state of trying to stop that chair the best he could with whatever strength he had. Yes, I find that to be very suspicious. And it's not that it's our business, but I would be interested to know whatever conversation they had that made Susie stomp out into the backyard. I'm sure it had to do with John Paul. So, very, very suspicious. It is very, very suspicious. Yes, it is. So there's that. There is and that's out too. I could also put that on the channel as well. This new video that Tamara put out. And God bless her, she used a computerized voice. I mean, I think she's just done dealing with the flying monkeys and wants answers for her brother. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her. But I'm sorry, you will not convince me that this man did this to himself unless you can prove it. And how can you prove it? Well, two ways. Let me see his face and let me know about the date in the chair. Otherwise, I don't believe it. Anyhow, getting to the next subject that I had brought up. It seems the Diddy list came out. I wanted to read to a few names on that list. Now, I don't even know some of these names. So I'll read the ones that I know. I'll put out the list so that you can look at it. I'm not really sure how. It'll have to be a video, so you'll just have to stop it and read it. Iggy Azalea, Meek Mill, Normani, Miguel, Haley Bieber, Jaden Smith, Prince Harry, Princess Beatrice of York, Princess Eugene of York, Tiana Taylor, Floyd Mayweather, Dr. Dre, LL Cool J, Swizz Beatz, Lala Anthony, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Mark Wahlberg, Cara Delevingne, Stacey Abrams, Kamala Harris, Charles Ranget, Maxine Waters, Michael Bloomberg, Eric Adams, John Kerry, Chrissy Teigen, Nick Jonas, Charlize Theron, Justin Timberlake, Gigi Hadid, Bella Hadid, Zoe Kravitz, Diplo, Offset. And I think that's it. And then two more names came up before I came online. Two more. This is all part of the lawsuit, by the way. These are names within the lawsuit. Mike Myers. And, he was a boxer. I forgot his name already. I think it was Mayweather. So they all, JB should be on that list. This is important. The quicker we take down the big guys, the quicker we could get to this little guy. Yeah, and I have a feeling we're not done with the names. So the names, they're all over social media, all over Twitter, all over Instagram, and probably have made it now to TikTok. So those, I said I was going to name the ones that I knew, but I ended up naming all of them that are on that list. And now, again, this is part of the lawsuit, the case against Diddy. Are these people that are being accused? Are these people who are witnesses? I don't know. But this is the list that just came out. So I don't think they're done with the names. They're not done with the names. I agree with you. Absolutely. I think there's much more to come. and this is going to get big, where are the politicians? I just named the politicians. I just named the ones that are on that list. And so thank God, one of them didn't make it to president. But anyhow, whoever is a cohort of Diddy and did anything bad, they need to suffer the consequence. If any of these people are just witnesses to stuff, then we'll find that out in the end. But as far as I see, yeah, I was expecting that too. I was expecting Jay-Z. Yeah. Summer English Royals, they were mentioned as well. And I guess they figured by getting rid of the main witness, what was her name, last week, they allegedly said she self-unalived herself. And none of us believe that. Anybody remember her name from last week? She was actually an Epstein witness and victim. Virginia Giuffre, thank you. That's right, Virginia Giuffre. I don't believe for one. I'd like to think she went into protective custody. Because it just doesn't make sense. I actually put up on my Twitter a couple of years old posts that she made saying, I am not suicidal. So, when somebody feels the need to have to say that is obviously an issue. Yeah, that list was unofficial and didn't come from the court case. So we just have to see what more comes out of it. Now, you might be thinking of the Epstein list too. And there were a lot of names on the Epstein list. And that was after Ghislaine Maxwell went into court. So that's when that list came out. I don't know if any of those people have been arrested or not. I think there's a lot. I know there's a lot of arrests going on that we're not aware of. And I think they're cleaning house with all these corrupt judges and whatnot, and politicians, to get them out of the way. So I don't know. I'm not a strategist for the military or for the FBI or DOJ. So whatever strategy they have going on, they're obviously working at it daily. And I think you guys may remember me mentioning a show called And We Know. And they're not allowed on YouTube. They were actually one of the shows that were purged back in 2021. But they are on Rumble. And almost daily. I'd say about maybe 5 days a week, 5 to 6 days. Matters what's going on in the world. But at least 5 days a week, he's got a show. It's about an hour long. And he will share with you news clippings. It's from the news. It's not like he's making it up. There's news clippings from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all of them, where, or if the White House makes some kind of a statement, if there's a press conference, whatever, he shows it to you all in a condensed hour show, to where you get all of this news. The way that mainstream puts it, they take a very, very important story and they do like a 10-second clip, talk about it real fast in their, CIA way. And people go, what did they just say? And they're on to the next story. They don't spend much time on it because they don't want you to think about it. That's why somebody like And We Know, where he actually reports it and then talks about it, you then go, oh, that's what's going on. That's how we knew about Alcatraz. And I'm glad he's opening up Alcatraz. I think it's beautiful. Open up every prison that's being used as a museum. Because we're going to need it. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you for that. I had a very relaxing birthday yesterday, although spent most of the evening looking into wheelchairs. But that's okay. I like doing this, kind of research stuff. And I've got a lot of people that help. And they're such good people. But it was quiet. It was nice. Then my parents came over this afternoon and bought me some lunch. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It was a nice birthday. Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. And I did put a thank you to everybody this morning. Yeah, he's a trip. So I don't know what happened that day, and I was so aggravated because it was Mica's, anniversary, being gone with, from us for a year. And it never happens. As you can see right now, YouTube and Rumble are running and it's fine. But of course, this one freaking day, YouTube wasn't working, which really ticked me off. And I'm in the middle of, giving this like heartfelt speech about how he lost her. And he walks in and goes, YouTube's not working. I'm like, damn it. So I said, let everybody know on YouTube real quick to come over to Rumble. And you guys were awesome. You came right over. But yeah, he is a gift from God. I got to tell you, I am very, very fortunate. Thank you, Carrie Ann. You guys are awesome. I am 58 yesterday, 58 years old. And you know what? The older I get, the less crap I want to take from people. So, especially flying monkeys, I think that Tamara handled them well. I'm glad to hear she's got an attorney. I really, really hope that they seek justice in every way, criminal and civil, because they can. And I did read that to you a few days back. I can reiterate that again, if you like. I do have it saved somewhere, about how they can go after. Let me see, I do have it here. Here we go. So it would be considered, in her case, what Susie did, and this is just basing it on if he did harm himself, okay? Reckless endangerment. If someone's actions were reckless or negligent and led directly to another's suicide, some jurisdictions may charge them with manslaughter. That can happen. So no matter how this turns out, she's screwed. She's screwed. And so is Jean Paul, if they're going to get married. Now, a civil liability, in some cases, the family of the deceased may pursue a wrongful death lawsuit against the person who contributed to the suicide through intentional infliction of emotional distress or negligence. So these two are not going to get away with, and I hope you're listening to me, Tamara. Okay? Civilly and criminally, there can be charges if they're going to push the possibility of a self-unaliving. Well, okay, then you drove him to it. And that's called reckless endangerment. And you can be held, Susie, for manslaughter. Not bathing him, not feeding him. Who does that? Who does that for an affair? You're a psycho. And civilly, if you're not able to push that, if you're not able to get that, a criminal charge against her, which I don't see why not, go after them civilly. And I'll tell you what, if the two of them get married, you can go after what they both have. Because if their assets become common law, you never know. So there you go, guys. We're on the 48-minute mark. Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Whose birthday was it? Crystal? Happy belated birthday, hon. Oh, you turned 58, so we were both born in 1967. It's a good year. It's a good year. It's a good year for cars, too. I heard the 67 Mustang was awesome. And good music back then as well. So, Just Robin, I heard, it's funny that you said that. Because if you remember a couple days ago, I told you guys that I had heard a rumor from somebody that works in the mall there in Myrtle Beach. And I'm not going to say what store, that they saw Susie and JP buying wedding rings. And this person had told me that she kind of walks behind him like she's, I don't know, a geisha girl or whatever. I don't give a crap if she walks under him. The point is, she neglected Chris before his death. There's proof of this because there's text messages and conversations of him telling his family and friends this. Okay? There's conversations about, and people witnessing John Paul wanting to remote control that chair. So either way, the neglect and driving him to want to harm himself and end his life is seen as manslaughter or homicide. This is not going to be a good outcome for either one of them. Not good at all. Yeah. Oh God. I didn't really cover or pay attention. I don't know why. When I first started watching it, I got highly annoyed and said, forget it. I'll go somewhere else. There were just some people that get under my skin right away. Mica drew me in. I was drawn in by Mica. And I think I've told you guys this in the past. There was that 911 call. I could not get past it. I could not get past that 911 call. This is not normal. This does not sound like a normal call. And we did the comparison call to July 7th. Now, I had said that was TCR, okay? Some people have said they think it's John Paul modifying his voice. I wouldn't say that that's an impossibility. Why not? Why not? Anything's possible. He's taken over her identity. He's hacked into her social media accounts and email. So why not? It's funny that you say that, because if you listen to the interview that Tamara did with Fitz News, she said this elder stayed with the family all day, and they felt that was very intrusive, because here they were as a family, wanted to discuss, family things, very intimate things about what just happened to their loved one. And you got this guy up your rear end. Why? What are you there for? That's because he was working on behalf of John Paul Miller. Yeah. Well, his announcement, a lot of people jumped on board with the announcement. I remember hearing the announcement. I saw it when you guys did. And I thought, that's kind of weird. But because I've seen people grieve, funny, everybody grieves in their own way, I didn't want to judge, because he said this was his wife. He didn't say estranged wife. So I thought, everybody, they act funny. Everybody acts odd when they're grieving. But when I heard the 911 call, I think it was maybe 2 days later, I went, okay, this story just got odd. This story just got weird. And then knowing that she was so much younger than him, and not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, it's 13 years between me and my husband. And then all the stories started to come out about what kind of man he was, and the adulterous affair, and the ex-wife, and the things she was saying. It just got worse and worse as time went on. And you know who I was following? I was following JLR. JLR was on the scene like almost right away. So, yeah. Anyway, the elder left the church right after Chris's passing, yes. Self-induced. Yeah, that was a weird thing to say. And again, I didn't pick up on that until Jack Fox. We're going to have to play Jack Fox very soon. If you want to go over Jack Fox's breakdown of John Paul Miller's announcement, give me a 1 in the chat, and I will get that for you, and we will play it. And it'll blow your mind, because he picks up. You remember, this guy's got 20 years working with law enforcement, and all kinds. Okay, I see ones. Okay, so I will get it. Next show we will play it, probably tomorrow. So I'll get it for you tomorrow. It is just amazing at the things he picks up on. He's got a little bit of a, it's either a very strong English accent or it's Scottish. You really got to kind of listen to what he's saying, but it's really good. Yeah, look at you all you guys with your ones. I love it. Okay, so I will definitely get that. And the adrenaline, yes. And that was the other thing. I didn't pick up on that. I think what I found weird was the short period of time that he already knew the manner of death. I was like, what do you mean you called the hospital and they told your family member over the phone? That is so against HIPAA law. That is so out of protocol for any hospital, medical facility to do that. I mean, I can't just, even in face-to-face, okay? If I walk into a hospital right now with my ID and go, hi, man, Plagborg, here's my ID. I want to know about Joe Smith over there. What happened to him? They're not going to tell me. They're not going to tell me anything. Why? Because I'm not a family. I'm not a next of kin. So how do they know who you are on the phone? And then nothing had been confirmed. There was an investigation that Robeson County hadn't even come out with until 7 days later. How did you know her manner of death? So he was throwing out that narrative early on. It was rehearsed and scripted right on. And he was very bad at it, by the way. Obviously, you all picked up on it right away. Something's wrong with this story. So, okay, well, get ready. We're going to watch Jack Fox tomorrow. I will try to be on in the morning. If I don't make it on in the morning, I will be on right after lunch, Eastern Standard Time. And we will listen to Jack Fox. But anyway, we're on 56 minutes, almost an hour. Thank you guys for joining me. We'll absolutely be, don't worry, Diana, we will be doing this tomorrow. But until I see you guys again, thank you for joining me. Stay safe and God bless.